Hello and welcome back to Belmont Bunch again. We're going to do a quick intro today because we got a lot to cover. We are now doing the Western Conference round robin. We have St. Louis, Colorado. We will wipe down the board. We'll show Dallas, we'll show Vegas, and we will give you the order that I am predicting them to finish. So let's go right into it. St. Louis, the Western Conference leaders. We got the St. Louis Blues. Let's look over their stats first. Why don't we start with that? Goals for, 3.14 per game. Pretty solid. Power play, 24.3. Really good. I know, because I had David Perron in fantasy this year. Penalty kill, 79.3. A little bit low. That's a little bit surprising. Maybe that'll affect something going forward. Goals against, 2.66. So really, really strong defense. Surprising that their PK is that low with that good a defense. So that is something to look out for. Their defensive structure, their defensive players, going too into the minutia already. Good lineup. Justin Falk, who came over in a trade over the summer. Colton Parayko, tall, sturdy, big defenseman who can, add some offense too. He can add offense, so that's something. They bring in Marco Scandella, so a little bit more offensive-minded on his left. Vince Dunn, who I really like because he's basically a Devon Toews. I'm super fast and I'm willing to, carry the puck up ice myself as a defenseman. And Robert Bortuzzo is the old veteran to offset the youth and inexperience, though not as much anymore of Vince Dunn. Offensively, Jaden Schwartz, Braden Shen, Vladimir Tarasenko coming back is a big part of this. He was projected to miss 5 months in October when he tore something in his shoulder, but it looks like he'll be back. Now, he could drop out for COVID reasons, but I haven't seen that yet. I will tell you, and I think we might do a video right before the playoffs start, listing all the COVID players, or the players that just opt out, because there's no shame in that either. We got Sammy Blais, Ryan O'Reilly, the Conn Smythe from last year, David Perron, who had a really good year in his mid-30s, so that's nice. Alexander Steen, Robert Thomas, not the singer from Matchbox
20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy's name is Rob Thomas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Jordan Kyrou, who's...
Name one Matchbox 20 song.
Unwell. Keep that in.
I couldn't think of anything, so that's why.
Jordan Kyrou, good prospect. He's in the lineup to add a little bit of extra scoring, even though their offense is pretty solid. Barbashev, Ivan Barbashev, Oscar Sundqvist. This line is hard to say words. And then Zach Stanford, so that's a little bit easier. But altogether, a team that can kind of roll 4 lines. They have good defensive forwards in O'Reilly and Shen who can do both ways. Don't read anything into that. Tarasenko, great sniper. Schwartz had a great playoff run last year. In goal, Jordan Binnington is an ice cube. Jake Allen was okay as the backup this year. Ice cube as in nothing shakes the sky. He is ice cold. He is never under pressure. He gets it. So altogether, I think a really good cohesive unit when it comes to offense, defense, and goaltending. They're just well-rounded across the board, and the stats kind of go into that. PK is something to look out for, especially given that they don't give up many goals. So the fact that their PK is that bad, it's kind of weird. So that means, I guess, they're giving up the majority of their goals shorthanded. Not the majority, but you know what I mean. And that's pretty much what we got on the Blues. Their coaching is also very solid, as we saw last year in the second half of the season. So, yeah. We're going to switch it on over now to the Colorado Avalanche. I almost said the Colorado Rapids, which is the soccer team. Nobody cares. I know. I do. So you've got one of the best first lines in hockey, and that's why that 3.37 goals per game is there. You've got Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen, all 3 all-star level players. The second line, Nazem Kadri, who is recovering from an injury but looks like he'll be able to return. He is a nice second line center to have. He has grit. we know in the playoffs he's been suspended once or twice, so he's got to keep his temper in check. But with line mates, Andre Burakovsky, Tyson Jost, who has been okay. Jonas Donskoy might flip with Jost because Donskoy was more productive from the numbers standpoint, the hard numbers. You've got Comfer, Nieto. So this is a team that's a little bit top-heavy when it comes to forwards. You've got Martin Kaut, who's one of their prospects, who had a decent showing at the end of the year. Belmont, who's just an experienced fourth liner, just, in the playoffs, that is important. You want that older generation to help the younger guys, guide the younger guys. When you go down to, oh, by the way, and their power play being 19.1 is a little bit surprising, but with injuries throughout the year, I think that took away from their ability to put out the best possible power play unit at all times. So that's probably why that's there. When it comes to defense, PK, pretty solid. Goals against per game, pretty solid as well. They match up really well with St. Louis. As you can tell by the points, they were right on top of each other at the end of the year. Graves, Mr. Graves, who came over in a trade as an add-in in the offseason, was very, very good. His advanced stats said he was one of the more valuable defenders this year in the league, which is crazy. Cale Makar, we all know, kids, I don't even know if he's turned 20 yet, and he's unbelievable. He's got offense. He's a good defender. He's a big guy. He scored in his first game in the playoffs last year. So the question of inexperience? Guy plays like he's experienced. You got Sammy Girard and I almost said Tyson Barrie. He is not on this team anymore. And Eric Johnson there on the second. Girard is fun to watch because he's a very, very good skater for a defenseman. I've seen him do stuff in the offensive zone that you expect a forward to do. So that's kind of cool. Third pairing is more just stay-at-home defensive. Ian Cole's serviceable. Connaughton is fine. So, maybe you got a good top four there in the bottom six. The bottom pairing is a little bit lackluster. In goal, there's an interesting question because Grubauer was hurt when the season ended. Francois was playing great and was really fun to watch. I called him a kid at the beginning of the year, and I'm pretty sure he's like 30, and he was fantastic. So he has a shot at starting game one. I know they're paying Grubauer more, and they put more assets into acquiring Grubauer, but hey, you got to play whatever goalie is hot come playoff time. So that's a question, but either way, neither of those is like an absolute world beater. You're going to get probably decent play out of either. You got a good defense in front of them to protect them a little bit. And they're going to score a lot of goals, so that'll help the goalies a little bit too because there'll be less pressure on them to pitch a shutout every game. Colorado, look out, one of the more fun teams in the league, one of the fastest teams in the league, and who knows, maybe the first overall in the West, but we'll get to that. The Vegas Golden Knights, my preseason Stanley Cup prediction winner of my prediction. What? Anyway, Vegas had kind of a lackluster year, 39-32-8, 86 points, pretty decent. The top two teams in the West were kind of far and away the best teams in Colorado and St. Louis, but Vegas has a very, very, very pretty lineup. So let's go through it. Goals for, I'm sorry, I said let's go through it and then I went right to stats. Let's go through the lineup then. Paul Stastny, Marchessault, and Riley Smith on the first line. That is subject to change with Mark Stone coming back from injury. Melker Karlsson, not Melker. You have William Karlsson, who has been productive, but obviously, couple years ago was a 40-goal scorer. That's going to be tough to achieve again. But maybe when you got those line mates. Pacioretty's had a great resurgence playing on that second line, playing very well. You got a decent bottom six, especially if you have Alex Tuch in your bottom six. He also was injured at the end of the season. Productive power forward. If he comes back into the lineup, which he's projected to do, very, very nice on that right side. That right side is very solid, especially when you finish it out with Reeves. Reeves, one of the toughest guys in the league. I think that's a great guy to have in the playoffs to get the other team's first line off balance. Carrier, Nosek, guys that have actually shown up for Vegas in the playoffs in their inaugural season. Defensively, you've got McNabb, Schmidt, Martinez, Theodore, Merrill, and Holden. Not the sexiest names, but a cohesive group that has been able to mesh well together. Martinez being the more recent addition, pushing Zach Whitecloud out of the lineup, who's got a great name, and I love that name. Schmidt has been one of the most important defensemen for this team. He's very, very solid in a stay-at-home type role. Theodore obviously is up there as well, a little bit more productive out of him. Martinez, veteran experience, Stanley Cup winner, Stanley Cup game-winning goal from Martinez in the past, so that's a good bit of experience to add into this defensive group. And you got Merrill and Holden, who are very, very serviceable bottom pairing defensemen. In goal, so here's a little bit of controversy. You got Robin Lehner, acquired at the trade deadline, and Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury, who's kind of the face of the team because he was the biggest part of the expansion draft for them. Fleury, his numbers declined a little bit this year, and he's older, and injuries have been piling up. So I have Lehner as the game one starter. Lehner has proven in the last 2 years that he is amongst the best goalies in the league, and he's playing for a contract. So there's a lot of things there that point to me saying Robin Lehner, better numbers, younger, less injured. I think you throw him out there in goal. And then you always have Fleury to fall back on, and you got a good goaltending situation from the get-go. So that's nice. Stats, goals for per game, 3.15. Pretty good. Not pie, but pretty good. That was awful. Power play, 22%. Pretty solid, very solid. Penalty kill, 76.6. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. That's surprising out of a unit that has been seen as a pretty decent defensive unit, but their goals against per game is close to 3, 2.94. So this team defensively has let up a little bit, and that's kind of why they had a coaching change, and it's kind of why they brought in Robin Lehner. Malcolm Subban just wasn't getting it going anymore, and so I think some good reinforcements in Lehner and Martinez and Stone and Tuck coming back means that Vegas, a little bit under the radar because they didn't have the most impressive regular season, but they're scary because they're always there and they're very talented. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the 4-seeded Dallas Stars. The number 2 defensive team in the league. I don't want to just say one of. They're the number 2 defensive team in the league. I think Boston is 1. But you got...
Sure it's not the Islanders?
Last year. So let's start from the bottom up, since they're a team that is a great defensive team. Ben Bishop and Anton Khudobin. Anton Khudobin, we don't really say elite to describe backup goalies. I'm going to say he's an elite backup goalie. Because, as a tandem, he's a huge part of the team because he allows Ben Bishop to play fewer games, and he's 30 now. He's past 30, Ben Bishop, and so it helps Bishop stay rested. And now everybody's going to be rested, yes, but it just shows the importance of Anton Khudobin in this team. Defensively, a team that only allows 2.52 goals per game, but their penalty kill is under 80%. Pretty surprising. You got Esa Lindell, who I think analytically is probably their best defender, although Miro Heiskanen is also there. Klingberg is a great offensive defenseman. We saw in the playoffs last year, I think he scored the game-winning goal of their first-round series with Nashville. Miro Heiskanen in year 2 probably should have been up for the Calder last year, kind of got snubbed. Excellent two-way defender. Stephen Johns is coming back from a ton of injuries, concussions. Career almost ended through concussions. He has been practicing. Let's hope, if he's healthy enough to go, that he goes. If he's not healthy, that he does what's best for his head. I've had a bunch of concussions. I wouldn't advise it. You got Jamie Alexiak, big hulking defensive defenseman with Sekera. So it's one of those teams that, yeah, they've got some big names, but they fill it out with just some decent defensemen, and they get the job done. Offensively, not great. The Fly's over there. Oh, it's on the book. It's on the book. You got it. Get it. It's on the book. Yeah. No, you missed it. You had it. You blew it. All right. We're going to assume it's dead.
Yeah.
Can that stay in? All right. So anyway, offensively, this team is a little bit challenged. 2.58 goals for per game. Power play is pretty decent, though. Probably a product of Ben Sagan-Radulov as another one of those really, really star-studded top lines. Denis Gurianov actually leads this team in goals, which is pretty impressive for the youngster. He's got Rupi Hintz as his pivot. Pavelski came in, was fairly productive. Didn't get like prime Pavelski, but you can't expect that at his age. Fills out the top six. Foxa, Perry, Dickinson. It's all right. Foxa probably being the best player out of those. Dowling, Como, Blake Como, former Islander. Cogliano. It's all right. Cogliano, I remember I think his advanced numbers looked really bad, but their forward group, very, 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 very top heavy. Maybe the most top heavy forward group in the league because it kind of drops off. That's why they got Perry and Pavelski. They had to shop from out west to get guys to fill in the lineup. But, Gurianov is kind of a key here because everybody thinks of Ben Sagan-Radulov. Radulov sometimes, Ben or Radulov, depending on who's hot and who's not, they'll play around with, different guys on the first line to spread out the talent. If Gurianov continues to be productive, it gives them a little more flexibility with their top six, and they need that because they become predictable if they're just going to trot out their best line and the other team's just going to trot out their best defensive line, and then if you shut that line down, and that's just game because they can't score outside of that. But that's where Klingberg and Heiskanen maybe come in, hit you from the defense. Dallas, a team that still feels like they're so close. They just need one more piece of the scoring puzzle. Well, actually, the goals for per game probably says that they need more than that. But they're a team that is so good defensively that they just need a little bit more offense. And so that's Dallas. All right, so now that we've talked about all the teams, it's time to reveal where they're going to fall in the round robin rankings. So these records are each team's records against the other three. So, kind of testing them against elite opposition because you're best of the best in the conference. And as you can see, there's a pretty distinct St. Louis and Dallas advantage in that area. Now, that plays into account. That's why we have them up here. But talent is also something that plays in. We've seen teams before that have struggled in the regular season series against each other and then beaten them in the playoffs. So, taking this all into account, let's reveal number 4. Who's going to be the 4 seed? Who's it going to be? It's them. It's the Vegas Golden Knights. I just realized that as soon as I go towards an area, it'll be obvious who it is. So I'm going to have to start mixing it up a little. All right. So Vegas, the 4 seed. Now, keep in mind, if you're a Vegas fan, this doesn't necessarily, mean that this is a bad thing. Because honestly, it's a worse first round matchup. But stranger things have happened. Look at last year. So anyway, with the coming in third. Oh, yeah, no, it is Dallas. Look at that. God, I need help. Dallas, great defensively. I think the question is, can they score enough goals? So that's so their record is good against this competition, but they beat up especially on Colorado, I think it was, that they beat up on, so that, inflated the record a little bit, and they only get to play each team once, so it's not like they can beat up on Colorado multiple times. But, so, with that being said, the number one, we're just skip two, because, then you got a pageantry. All right, here we go. Number one of, it's Colorado in the house. Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche. So I guess that's obvious then. So I guess the deciding factor for me here was Colorado's talent means that you can never, please don't underestimate them. Last year, they were the 8th seed, and they go up against the 1 seed. All the numbers say, yeah, Calgary's probably going to beat them. Colorado's fun, and they're feisty, and they're fast, but I don't know. And then Colorado blitzed them. So there's something to be said for top-end talent, speed, elite, just elite players, top-end talent. So I kind of redundant. But on the offense and in the blue line now with Cale Makar and just a pretty good goaltending situation. St. Louis, I have them at the 2. This could be a victim of them just being so steady that there's no one area that they stand out, because they're just good in every area. They're not just good, they're very good in every area. And they're, as you can see, they're very good against this sort of competition. But so this is where I'm going to have the Western Conference going. Colorado with the 1 seed, St. Louis 2, Dallas 3, Vegas 4. They will await the winners of the qualifying round series, which now counts as playoffs according to the NHL. But wait until tomorrow when they decide it's not again, because they don't know what they're doing. That was a little pet peeve thing thrown in. Because they keep making up rules as they go along. Anyway, that's the end of the video. This has been Tom's Petty Corner. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you for checking the channel out as well. And, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Why did I go against the records and also show them? Why did I provide evidence against myself? Like and subscribe, please. And keep watching for the Eastern Conference version of this mess. Man, he's a quick one. I don't know why I went into...
This is ridiculous. Where'd it go?
Over there. Just stay in one area, man. Not you. I'm talking to the fly. Why am I gonna fight this thing? I got my fists out.
I don't know.
Get away! Where the hell is it?
This is ridiculous.